If you're in C12, you're committed to lifelong learning. We gather monthly to learn, exchange best practices, to get our questions answered, and sometimes to get our answers questioned, all with the goal of leading our lives and our businesses in such a way that God says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." We say it all the time. When you're part of a C12 group, you are part of something bigger than what you see every month. Literally, thousands of leaders gather around hundreds of tables every single month. And as we've seen with the explosion of industry affinity groups this spring, there are scores and sometimes hundreds of peers just like you in the very same context scattered around the nation. Our shared mission and this pursuit of excellence is why we host this national conference every 2 years. We call it the C12 Marketplace Leaders Conference, which we've branded CURRENT'17. Why Current? Well, the branding is to capture that we're both coming together to get the current best practices being proven out by peers, but also because it's a convergent of currents or streams of peers from around the nation channeling together to see and celebrate God's collective work. I'm a fan of conferences. We partner with organizations like Willow Creek on the Global Leadership Summit all the time because they have great classic leadership training that's accessible to bring large teams to locally. The C12 conference is intentionally different. It's 25 peer speakers, all presenting best practices they are currently living out in their businesses. We take the 5-point alignment matrix and we literally map out speakers for every one of those categories and sessions that address them, all nominated by your peers. So why come to CURRENT'17? Well, you'll get to connect with hundreds and hundreds of peers from around the country, even within your own industry context if you like. You'll also get connected to the broader movement in the marketplace. You'll get to engage with relevant content that you can go back and apply in your business tomorrow. And by the end of our 2 days together, we'll get to advance together, charging back into the marketplace, fired up, equipped, and better connected to fulfill the mission God has called you to. Now, there's no other gathering of this caliber, size, or quality in the nation. I've looked. I've done the research. If you've not been to Current before, you will regret missing it. Our 2015 conference had an astounding Net Promoter Score rating by attendees of over 90%. That's unheard of. One of the guests who attended in 2015 said, "I want to thank you," this is him writing to his chair, "thank you for making me attend the C12 Leadership Conference in Orlando. Since this was my first C12 conference, I really didn't know what to expect." I mean, well, maybe I did have a few expectations. I suppose I expected it'd be just like any other business conference that typically lines up professional speakers that wow me with profound wisdom. But instead, I was pleasantly surprised by the variety of C12 business leaders that shared their heart. And while they were speaking on specific topics that businesses face, they were also openly telling their stories of hardship, success, and ultimately how the Lord is Lord of their business. It was very encouraging to know that I'm not alone in the daily battle to do all things to the glory of God in running a Christ-centered business. It's also encouraging that along with my C12 group locally, I can now access the knowledge and the wisdom of many C12 leaders around the country with a simple email or phone call. The conference would not have been complete without experiencing the dinner on the last night, worshiping our Lord throughout the whole time, meals, fellowship, songs, testimony. It was a perfect wrap-up for the entire conference. That's what a first-time attendee said last time. Trust me, you will want to be at Current. It's just what we do. It only comes around every 2 years, and you will thank me, just like that member did, for making you go. So I'm telling you, come join us. So let me quickly walk you through what you'll experience and why I'm confident that this is going to be a game-changing time for you. First, we're meeting at the JW Marriott Hill Country Resort. It's a grand setting, very family-friendly, even has on-site childcare options in addition to a PGA golf course, which we'll make use of on Saturday, and everything needed to make it a great experience for spouses or kids. This is the 25th anniversary of C12. We've grown up from an experiment of an idea in Southeast Florida in 1992 to now the nation's largest Christian CEO executive peer advisory group organization. So we're going to kick off things with some special celebration times looking at the history, honoring some heroes of this movement, and setting up the entire conference in a memorable way. We've also asked Shane and Shane to come in and lead worship through the time. On Friday, we'll dive in with a couple plenary sessions. First, we got Tom Gardner and James Reuter. Both run different businesses in the pallet industry, and they're making waves, transforming their business models around actually a ministry strategy that's yielded significant business impact, and it's changing the paradigm of their entire industry. We'll follow that up with Peter Freisler of Polydeck Screen Corporation. He's going to talk about a session titled Essentials in Transforming Your Workplace. Peter will be unveiling a book he's actually worked on with Patrick Lencioni's team for the last year that takes the work he's done at this international mining company to weave business as ministry deeply into the fabric of the company and has helped translate to scores of other companies around the country. You're going to have a ton of actionable takeaways from those plenary sessions. We'll then be breaking into workshop tracks. Throughout the conference, there'll be tracks that align to the 5-point alignment matrix. There will be a session on navigating succession to preserve mission by Chris Bishop of Regent Surgical Hospital Centers, profiling how a surgical group passed the baton effectively to ensure that both the business kept scaling with normal metrics, as well as kingdom and culture indices. Then Bill Cox of Cox Manufacturing will deliver a session called Plus Delta, Continuous Improvement for the Entire Organization. It's a novel and highly transferable methodology for driving performance and evaluations across the company. Rick and Cassie Lehman will deliver a provocative and motivating session called Biblically Responsible Investing, sharing insights and tactics for how thinking about the way we invest and approach financial discipline should be driven by our faith. Doug Napier from Alliance Fitting Freedom will present the latest in religious liberty and the legal landscape of what's permissible and what's recommended for business owners in a talk called Faith, Business, and Liberty. He'll be joined by Al Hartman, who runs a REIT in Houston, to facilitate a Q&A around how do we make the most of our opportunities in this time. A new employer's guide to faith in the workplace will also be unveiled. Lastly, during that workshop run, April Williams, who runs a marketing agency in Rhode Island, will deliver a talk called Nehemiah Moments and Persevering Through Crisis, which will be a popular session for any leader who has or will face those nail-biting crisis times in business. At lunch, we'll be graced with a keynote session by Peter Greer. Peter's the CEO of Hope International and the author of numerous books, including Mission Drift. If you're a leader and at all concerned about how to not see your business be just another statistic of poor succession outcomes, or to watch the legacy of the vision God called you to fade within months or years after you exit, this session will be jam-packed with action items for you. Now, the afternoon will be full. We've got plenary sessions by Scott Smith, who runs an IT company in Nashville. He's going to tell a powerful story of national proportions in a session called Company Culture and Seizing the Moment. Learn how small steps he took in advance in his business set up this ordinary company to make extraordinary impact for millions of people. Van Ellison, the CEO of St. Matthew's House in Naples, Florida, will then give a highly motivating and perspective-changing talk called Leaning Into the Headwinds, with lessons on how we as leaders deal with adversity. Then we'll have an exclusive video interview with Bill Hybels called The Soul of an Organization and Bridging the Church and Business Gap. He'll be hitting home run after home run around ideas of how do we boldly impact our communities through business, but also practical insights and how do we bridge the common divide of what's church versus business versus ministry, and how do we help bring those things together. I think it's going to be one of the most talked about sessions of the whole conference. The afternoon workshop tracks will be robust. If you've never actually built out a strategic plan for ministry, C12 founder Buck Jacobs will be delivering an interactive workshop by the very title where you and your leadership team will leave with an actual draft of your own strategic plan for ministry and the business. Will Stevens of Waterstone will do a case study on two C12 members, Mark McLean of SailPoint and Tony Dale of Sedera Health, around the why and the how they leveraged equity for Kingdom Impact in a session called Leveraging Assets and Exits for Kingdom Impact. Pete Hayes is co-founder of Chief Outsiders. He'll deliver a powerful session called Growth Gears, using market-based frameworks to drive success. And if you've ever felt like you've got a great company or a great product, you just struggle with growing it, that's your session. John Faulkner, CEO of AmeriStrength, formerly of Cornerstone Construction, he'll deliver a much-anticipated talk called Leveraging Labor Scorecards to Scale the Business, based on lessons he learned in scaling a business from startup to over 30 million in a low-margin outsourced labor context. And Jackie Scherer will round out the options with a session called Intentional Daily Living. Again, there are tracks for everyone, spouses included. That night, we'll end up with Mark Merrill doing a dinner keynote. He's a longtime C12 member, founder of All Pro Dad with Tony Dungy, as well as Family First. And he's going to give a talk we've been conspiring on for a long time. It's called Building Great Marriages and Families while on the quest to build great businesses for a greater purpose. Be prepared to be challenged and equipped on that one Friday night. Saturday, We'll end with a bang. We got Dallas Barnes. He's going to share a talk called Scaling Business for Greater Impact on the disciplines he used to grow multiple brands from $300 million to ultimately over $700 million while scaling ministry in the mix. The workshop tracks on Saturday will include a session by Kurt Brown and Michael Tremaine on navigating the capital markets, where we're going to look at private equity and various vehicles for growth and exit capital, and how do we do that as Christians. Doug Ezel of Freedom Industries will deliver a wonderful workshop on the ESOP process they went through and the lessons learned. Bob Beggs from Philly will give a very challenging session called Faith Measures and KPIs, talking very strategically about how do you measure and refine the KPIs around the good work in your business, as well as the good works you and your business may support. It'll stretch your thinking, I promise. Jeff Davidson is co-founder of Camp Gladiator with his wife, which is rapidly becoming the Uber of personal fitness, while also making waves for ministry impact. He's going to deliver a talk called Scaling Culture Remotely, as they've had to work through the consistent challenges of building a brand experience that goes across hundreds of team members in dozens of states. Then Mike Amons will deliver a session called A Case Study in Ministry Integration, about how their $80 million communications company built ministry planning into the very balanced scorecard process of their company growth and consistent results. Now, we've had very few experiences like this, and we've got more experiences planned just as surprises you're going to want to take advantage of. There'll be hundreds of members flying in early to be part of industry affinity group meetings that are going to be happening at the JW. You're welcome to join those if you register in advance. And then we'll wrap up midday Saturday with time for an optional excursion to either do the C12 golf tournament at the TPC golf course or to take charter buses downtown to the famous San Antonio River Walk in Alamo and do some family fun stuff down there. You're not going to just walk away with great ideas. Ideas are cheap. You're going to walk away with models, with plans, resources, and the connections to actually do stuff. It's like a C12 meeting on steroids. And if you miss it, you'll regret it. So make plans now. Bring your executive team. You might even reach out to peers in industry to join you so they can take that flame back to their context. But if you want a conference that'll help you get stuff done in a way that matters, this is for you. I look forward to seeing you at CURRENT'17, September 28th through 30. You can register today at www.c12current.com.